Hey, so today's interview is with my friend Natalie Matthews. Natalie used to be a surfer, but she fell into bodybuilding, and she's a chef as well. Now, the unique thing about Natalie is that she won her IFBB Pro card as a vegan athlete. Now, I know vegans get lots of flack because people think that they can't build muscle or that they're weak, but it's undeniable at this point that vegans do very, very well in athletics. We'll use Nimai Delgado, for example. He's a vegan athlete as well, and he's an IFBB Pro. Because protein intake is usually a concern for vegans, I thought it was a good idea to cover that topic in this video. I've always used Dr. Eric Helm's recommendation of 1.8 grams per kg to 2.7 grams per kg, which equals out to 0.82 grams per pound or 1.2 grams per pound body weight.
So my advice to a vegan is probably to trend towards the upper ranges and within these ranges. So for example, if you're in the off season, you probably want to be at least at 2 grams per kg. During a diet, you probably want to be around at least 2.5 grams per kg. And I wouldn't recommend kind of those lower ranges just because the quality of your protein might mean that the absolute amount should be higher to compensate for that. So it's essentially overcoming the fact that the quality is a little bit lower by going higher in quantity.
So before we get into this video, Natalie, I just want you to know that I jacked your intro, so here it is. Hey guys, so I'm here with my friend Natalie Matthews. Natalie is an IFBB Bikini Pro, but she's also vegan. So I really want to tackle some vegan topics because vegans seem to be like growing a lot lately, huh?
Yeah, it's more popular than ever, but it's been my lifestyle for 7 years now, almost half my life, because I grew up vegetarian, and I've been vegan since 7 years ago.
Yeah, so Natalie's also Puerto Rican, and if you know about Puerto Ricans, they are all about some pig lard.
Oh yeah, on everything.
So why don't you, tell us a little bit about yourself, like from like the very beginning.
Yeah, so I grew up in Puerto Rico, born and raised there, so English is my second language. I grew up surfing, so I've always been an athlete. I did that professionally for a little bit. And around when I was 15 years old, I'm almost 30, so 15 years ago, I decided I no longer wanted to eat animal products, and no for specific reason. It's just that I really was kind of grossed out by the taste, to be completely honest. Not knowing what veganism or vegetarian was at that time, I just kind of fell in the lifestyle by accident, but I still consume like dairy products like very heavily. Then fast forward a couple of years, I actually met my husband George in the island while he was transferred there, because he's a helicopter pilot for the Coast Guard, so he got stationed there, and we met. And at the time George was battling with like some severe like health issues, and he was gonna get kicked out of the Coast Guard, and he kind of like adopted a vegetarian lifestyle just by living with me, but his doctor actually recommended him to remove dairy from his diet. And at the time I was like, babe, I'm already the weird vegetarian girl like in Puerto Rico that nobody even knew what that was. I just didn't want to leave my cheese. I was severely addicted to cheese. I think I told you this the first time I met you. I would go to Costco and buy 2-pound bags and eat them all by myself. I'm not kidding, guys. It was like a bite of a burrito, cheese, like it was out of control. So I saw that he dropped cheese out, so he went vegan again by accident, not us like trying to plan anything or anything like that. And immediately I just saw so many benefits in his health. He was about to get a second surgery for his sinus infections and kicked out of the Coast Guard if he did not do that, because as a helicopter pilot you can't have problems with your sinuses or anything like that. And he no longer needed that surgery. So I was so inspired by his story. I was like, okay, I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna drop the cheese. So I ended up dropping the cheese and I lost 10 pounds. I got rid of my hypoglycemia, which is what you get before diabetes.
Okay.
And all my life, everybody was telling me, you're just gonna be diabetic. You just have to deal with it.
Were you already small at the time, or were you?
I was active, like I said, and I wasn't overweight or anything like that. But yeah, I lost some inflammation in my body due to the high dairy consumption that I was doing. But yeah, I remember people, like, when I would go to the beach and surf, people were like, what are you doing? Like, you look amazing. Like, all of a sudden I had abs because I lost some fat. And I was like, well, I just dropped the cheese. That's what I would say. Like, I just dropped the cheese.
And they're like, after that, I'm not dropping the cheese.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I ended up reversing that illness that I was, like, all my life with. And people were like, you're just going to be diabetic. And I thought that was just my, my faith. And so that was really cool. So I was very inspired by both of our stories, that I was like, I have to, like, share this knowledge with the world. So I started educating more and more and more, and I obviously fell down the rabbit hole of documentaries, science, books, and all that, and I really educated myself so I could answer the hard questions. And then we got transferred to Jacksonville, Florida, where I could, like, no longer do surfing. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? So I'm an athlete. I need to train for something. And I fell into bodybuilding just because, again, George inspired me. He started lifting. And mainly because we wanted to prove what you could do on a plant-based lifestyle. We wanted to prove that, we're not these fragile, hippie, skinny vegans. So, yeah. That's how I fell into bodybuilding, fell in love with it, and fell in love with educating people and letting them know how to do it properly.
So what got you into competing?
George did, actually. And again,
Does he compete?
He competed for the first time, like, I think it was 2016 or 2015. Yeah, he competed, and I kind of learned from his mistakes. So he never, like, took a proper time to build his his body. So he went straight, into a cut and competed. And the funny thing was that he went on stage, he got that last because obviously he had no muscle. He was shredded to the bone, like, he was really shredded, but he had no muscle.
Okay.
So I saw that, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I want to be very competitive. I mean, I'm coming from a competitive background, so I just wanted to go on stage and prove that you can build muscle. So I decided, before I ever stepped on stage, to take, like, a really long season where I focus on building my body, eating at a surplus, and just lifting properly. So for a whole year, I just ate like a bodybuilder, lifted really heavy, and was able to put myself in a position to, like, start a competition prep.
Were you ever worried that you wouldn't get adequate protein as a physique athlete?
Not at all, no. Like I said, I educated myself from the very beginning, and I understood macros very well. I've been tracking macros for a very long time, so I feel like people that track have a better understanding of, you can't just look at your plate like this is just protein, carbs, and fat, because if you kind of think about it, everything contains a little bit of protein, so it kind of stacks up throughout the day. So that's kind of how I looked at it, and I've been able to hit 140 grams of protein, which is plenty for a person my size, consistently for years now.
So what are your go-to protein sources when you're on prep?
My favorite one is definitely tofu. If I'm looking, because it's very low carb and it has some healthy fats. I feel like it has like the perfect ratio. It's a complete protein, it's anti-inflammatory, and it's a health food. It's like a really powerful bean. It's amazing. And then my second favorite one is seitan, which is made from Vital Wheat gluten, which is straight protein found in the wheat berry. No fat, it's just literally protein, very little carbs. So it's what I would say is similar to like your standard, like non-protein vegan option. And I really do enjoy those two. Those are my favorite top two. Obviously, vegan protein powders. I love a pea-based protein powder just because it's not gritty or anything like that. Edamame beans, lupini beans. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I love lupini beans. They're like a Mediterranean bean.
Okay.
Very low in carb compared to other beans. Very high in protein and high in fiber, which is rare to find in protein options, which is good.
Your culinary background, that plays a large role to making like these foods tasty, right?
Yeah.
Because I think people getting into veganism, I see this a lot. Their foods are like very bland, so it's like a turnoff for them.
Yeah.
But you created, what's it? Puerto Vegan?
Puerto Vegan, yeah. So I created this cookbook called Puerto Vegan because when I was living in the island, people were like, there's no way you can make Puerto Rican food tasty, vegan, and oil-free. And I'm like, I'm going to show you how. So I actually went to culinary school a few years ago, and I've learned a lot, and I was able to apply everything I learned into like vegan cooking and baking, and I just fell in love with the kitchen. It all just kind of came together, bodybuilding, veganism, and cooking, like all in one, at one time. So I really utilized my platform to show people how easy it is to eat vegan and, to hit your protein goals. So when I share recipes, I call them Fit Vegan Recipes. I focus on really showing you high protein vegan recipes, because that's the main question I get asked, like, how do you get your protein? So yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. I mean, Puerto Vegan was made specifically for like my Puerto Rican people, but the book has been sold worldwide. I have people from Australia, New Zealand, everywhere, so it's been a really cool experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you say your top 2 favorite dishes are? Let's say an entree and a dessert.
Okay, that's easy. I could eat oats any day.
Okay.
At any time of the day. I love oats. So I would say oats with a tofu scramble. That's my favorite. If I wasn't prepping, probably like vegan nachos.
Okay.
I love Mexican food, so probably that. And then as far as dessert goes, I have a lot of fun with desserts. Like, I make a lot of macro-friendly desserts, and right now I'm obsessed with a carrot cake donut, and it's high protein, so I love that.
Nice. Let's talk about the pro stage for a little bit.
Yeah.
What are you expecting in 5 weeks?
Honestly, I'm going into it with an open heart. Like, obviously, we all train to get first and to break that top call out, but I do want to be realistic, and I want, to just really enjoy the process. So I've been pretty much tackling this prep like it's my first time ever prepping. Like, I'm enjoying every day, every workout, having fun with just the experience of getting there and putting my 110%. So when I'm getting there and I get on that stage, it doesn't matter what placement I get, I'm like, okay, I'm happy with what I did. I did everything in my power. So yeah, just going into it with an open heart. Hopefully I can crack that top 5, but yeah, just enjoying every day.
I think she'll do well. She's pretty swole. I've seen the veins come out today already.
It's all the carbs.
Yeah, she's on her diet break. How many carbs are you eating now?
210. Yeah.
Okay. And you were at what before the diet break?
110.
That's rough.
Yeah.
So what are your carb sources when they're that low?
When they're that low, basically veggies. So I picked
That's fun.
Yeah, I picked the lupini beans. I eat very high volume because I'm a person that likes to feel satiated. And I tell Paul, my coach Paul, to just give me all the cardio. I'd rather have food than, create a deficit with that. So my carb sources, oatmeal in the morning. That's where I have the majority of my carbs. And then I'll probably for lunch have like a lupini bean seitan or tofu with like a cauliflower rice, or I don't know, like some steamed vegetable medley that I'll create. Sauces are a big thing for me. And then if I have some extra fats, I'll throw avocado or nuts and seeds, things like that.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys got a glimpse of what Natalie's about. I'm sorry about the background noise. I know there's like lawnmowers going and stuff, but I think we covered some pretty good topics.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Fit Vegan Chef, pretty much everywhere. My YouTube channel is Natalie Matthews, Fit Vegan Chef. And yeah, hope you guys join me over there.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Natalie.
Yeah, thank you.